how do you have a bullet about spirituality and material science? You blend them, right? Maybe you notice that loving kindness is related to the heart's magnetic field, heart rate variability, sending prana from the heart, have an open heart chakra, being able to release sadness and feel vulnerable. I know I'm going very fast. My stuff is very dense, so you might want to rewatch this and then pause on certain things, because each word you might want to pause and be like, oh, wow. But there's so much to the heart, right? Spiritually and materially. So if you want to integrate, learn where you are deficient. So the spiritual world of relationships, if you've already explored that, explore the physical world, not just the concept, but the form. Maybe it's vice versa. Maybe food. Maybe you've got the physical thing for food down. You know what you like to eat mostly. You know how you like to eat it. What about the energy and consciousness of the food, of the sources of the food, of the people who distributed the food, and of yourself before, during, and after consumption of the food? There's a lot of spirituality about food, the non-physical parts. And you could look at the bioscience and electrochemical stuff that happens related to eating, and sure, that's extra information. That's cool if you care about that stuff, right? So how do you integrate? You just include both, not rocket science. So wrapping up that topic, moving on to the second to last one. Any questions on that? Please, again, DM me your question or comment on the post before this. How to make increasingly deeper and longer lasting friendships. Take a quick sip. So I want to share a bit of my own story with this on the friendships before saying a how-to, because I believe this is the most personalized topic that I'm going to cover tonight. And I think we all have very different social and romantic lives, templates, makeups, comforts, wounds, desires, skills. So by giving you my context, I'm sharing where I'm coming from. And I think, just to be fully transparent, this is the area that I'm more new with in teaching and sharing. I feel I have things of value, of very high value, from what my students and clients and the general public has said. But I do think there are people more qualified than me in this individual topic. But so you fast forward, tune out, or tune in, or say, David, you're better than you think, or say, David, you suck, whatever. I'm open to receive. So I grew up in a way where I didn't have really friends who weren't, under 30 until college. I had a couple people I hung out with each year of the school. When I was 15, I made friends with somebody who I ended up working with, and we hung out a lot because I drove him around. But for so many reasons I don't want to get into, we didn't stay close friends, and I really never had close friends until college. My first year of college, I was very social, but the first semester ended with starting an organization. And so all of college was me having different clubs and starting different businesses, and all my free time was about entrepreneurship and about leadership. And I had never learned to be vulnerable. I didn't grow up with siblings. I didn't have a relationship in high school because I came out kind of later, like in my, when I was 21. And so I was a super noob. I was a super noob in the friendship and dating department. I was so green. And so after college, my life and family circumstances were such that I was laser focused. And I loved art, and I painted a lot. My room is full of color, so I like it. And I had an art studio, and my business funded my art studio. And at some points, family chipped in. I was very fortunate. At one point, I went to Stanford. At one point, I ended up working at Google. But I had a lot of mainstream career work and devotion to martial arts and devotion to art. And I didn't start being social until I moved to California in 2014. I had people I hung out with, maybe more than once a month. I had maybe a couple friendships that were budding, but I wouldn't call any of them close friends compared to what I would define as close friends now. I had a relationship, and that person took his life, and I found out on Facebook. I had another relationship that I really wanted to work, and it was very codependent and traumatic, and that ended, and healing and forgiveness and integration and learning, happened. And I had my whole spiritual second, some would say awakening. That word is very loose nowadays, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on who you are. But I had all my spiritual experiences and growth, at least a significant amount of constant full-time work in that arena. I learned what I needed to learn professionally. I felt now I finally am comfortable with my life purpose. I know who I am, and I feel comfortable making friends and finding partners because I feel I am worthy of those types of people because I am now that type of person. And I didn't want to hang with anybody that I perceived as lower in maturity or knowledge or skill or, this left earlier, but for a little bit ambition. Part of that was fear, part of that was fear of being vulnerable, part of that was, yes, judgment, and part of that was the knowing of what I said before for energy. As a motivated entrepreneur, I didn't want to hang around with people who weren't, but I siloed myself a lot. So once I started opening the silo, and now I'll talk with anybody, and of course my closest friends, we can jive deeply on at least two levels, two topics that are important to me. Entrepreneurship, spirituality, fitness, romance, loving kindness, happy, silly playfulness, creating art, a few others like my deepest passions. Good friends, they have to share at least two. They don't have to share all of them.